Big story at the White House today. The Associated Press writing about secret emails. Here's what they wrote. Quote, some of President Barack Obama's political appointees, including the Secretary of Health and Human Services, are using secret government email accounts they say are necessary to prevent their inboxes from being overwhelmed with unwanted messages. The secret email accounts complicate an agency's legal responsibilities to find and turn over emails in response to congressional or internal investigations, civil lawsuits, or public records requests, because employees assigned to compile such responses would necessarily need to know about the accounts to search them. Here's what the Secretary of Health and Human Services said about that.
Can you tell us about the secret email accounts that you have?
Madam Secretary, could you just give us...
There is no secret email account. There's a public email and a private email, and they're all FOIA-able. They're all available. And 28,000 emails a month come into the public email. About 400 come into the private email. It's just a management issue. I can't possibly answer or screen all of them, and I want people to get timely answers.
Okay, we're back with the panel. What about this, Steve?
Well, that's a nonsense answer. You can create another public email that has a less obvious email handle. That's what members of Congress do. It's a way for them to manage the emails that they get. Look, the idea that we're even having this discussion, given the way that President Obama came in and said that his administration would be the most open and transparent. Remember, on January 21st, which is the day after he was inaugurated, he issued this transparency and open government memorandum saying that his administration would have unprecedented levels of transparency to work together to ensure the public trust and establish a system of transparency, public participation, and collaboration. So he was going to change course from the way things were. Not only has he not done that, his administration has been far worse, as evidenced by these emails, as evidenced by the report that Catherine Herridge did on the failure to disclose after 2 years these Osama bin Laden documents. Issue after issue after issue, going back 4.5 years, this administration has failed in its efforts to be transparent.
Juan?
You know, I'm just trying to be sensitive to this because I fully believe in transparency, but as I sit here, I tell you, you know what, I have a private email because I want to be able to do business with people or my family without everybody deluging me and spamming me, and so there's a Fox News email that I have.
Sure. But if you were in
I
the
don't
government
understand this.
And
but
we wanted a Freedom of Information request,
right?
We would have to know what that email is in order to get the.
Well, you'd have to ask me, and so I guess the hardest point at which I'm hearing and I'm trying to respond to this is when I heard the statement that, you know what, in some of these cases, in a recent EPA case, that a member of Congress said, I wasn't aware of one of these email accounts, and I don't believe they told me about it when we began the investigation. So the assumption then is they intentionally did not reveal that there existed another email.
Well, in fact, Lisa Jackson, the EPA administrator, essentially left during that time because she was operating as Richard Windsor. Right. Senator Vitter talked about that
That's
today.
Who I'm talking, yes.
Yeah,
right.
Take a listen.
I've been confronting this for months in the case of EPA. You know, we went around and around with the so-called Richard Windsor emails.
And that was Lisa Jackson, and there were many FOIA requests, months and months. They were not answering any of it, and it was tied to Richard Windsor without tapping into that account. So he's saying, Charles, that it's a convenient way to kind of get around the transparency issue.
Well, in fact, Juan's private email account is Richard Windsor. I just want to tie all the conspiracies into one here. Look, I'm sympathetic with Juan's view on this. I know that I'll let the shock wear off for a second. There are two reasons that you could do this, for efficiency or secrecy. I think Sebelius's argument is acceptable. She gets a lot of stuff. She has a private account. As long as the identity of the account is known and revealed to anybody who inquires, I think it's okay. What Lisa Jackson, Lisa Jackson did at EPA is to create a persona, this false guy, apparently doing stuff that would make it look as if it's a real person, giving him an identity. And that is clearly a way to hide. I mean, otherwise you don't do that. You change, you know, you can have a second or a third email account that everybody can see is yours, or even if they can't, you have a repository where it's known and revealed to investigators. But what Jackson did clearly is is an issue of secrecy and hiding. But I give Sebelius a pass on this unless it can be shown that she was hiding the identity of her accounts from everybody.
We should point out in the grapevine, we said Richard Windsor received ethics awards from the EPA.
Well,
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
well,
a true
that's
story.
because of
Absurdity.
Ron's exemplary behavior.
Thank you. But that's how absurd
And
Washington
I'll also
can
point
be.
out that James Rosen had a couple of private email accounts too. Last word, Steve.
Well, look, even if you agree with Juan and Charles, it's an amazing thing to say. Amazing thing to say.
Let's just absorb that for a second.
The administration hold the president to his own standards. I mean, what he has done, what they are doing, is clearly not operating as the most transparent administration in history, and in some respects, they're operating as among the most secretive administrations in recent history.
But I gave up on hope and change on Inauguration Day, so I'm not disappointed because I expected nothing.
That is it for the panel.